Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are diving into the story of Hazrat Ibrahim, peace be upon him. Hazrat Abraham, peace be upon him, is a revered prophet in Islam, Judaism, and Christianity. His story is filled with profound lessons and tests of faith. Here is a detailed account of his life, particularly focusing on Islamic teachings, birth and early life. Hazrat Ibrahim was born into a family that was steeped in idolatry. His father, Azar, was a sculptor who made idols that people worshipped. From a young age, Ibrahim was critical of the idol worship and recognized the illogical nature of worshipping objects made of stone. He believed in the one true God, but his family and society were against him. Prophethood. When Ibrahim grew up, Allah revealed to him that he was to be a prophet. Despite his father's occupation and his society's norms, he began preaching monotheism. He was steadfast in calling his people to worship the one true God and reject idols. His people, including his father, opposed him. They questioned his beliefs and ridiculed him for rejecting their idols. Breaking the idols. One of the most famous events in Ibrahim's life was his confrontation with the idol worshippers. The king of the time, Nimrod, had a large statue of a god that the people revered. Ibrahim knew this was false and decided to prove a point. On a day when the people went out to celebrate a festival, Ibrahim stayed behind. He entered the temple and destroyed all the idols except for the largest one. He placed the axe in the hands of the largest idol. When the people returned and saw the destruction, they accused Ibrahim of breaking the idols. Ibrahim calmly responded, asking them why the largest idol didn't stop the others from being destroyed. This question baffled the people, as they realized that their gods had no power to defend themselves. This act led to Ibrahim being brought before King Nimrod, who challenged him to a contest. Nimrod claimed his power as the ruler and even declared that he could bring life or death. Ibrahim responded with a profound statement, that his God gives life and causes death, and that he is the one who controls everything. This conversation was intended to show that the power of God is far greater than any earthly king. Miracle, the fire, as a punishment for defying idol worship. King Nimrod ordered that Ibrahim be thrown into a massive fire. The fire was made so hot that no one could even approach it. However, when Ibrahim was thrown in, Allah protected him, and the flames did not harm him. It was a great miracle that demonstrated Allah's power and protection over his prophet. The fire became cool and peaceful for him, and he was saved from harm, migration, and family. After this incident, Ibrahim was forced to leave his homeland, and he migrated with his wife, Sarah, to different places. Along the way, Allah tested him further. In one such event, he and his wife traveled to Egypt, where the ruler desired Sarah to protect her. Ibrahim did not reveal her identity as his wife and stayed that she was his sister. Allah then intervened and protected Sarah as the ruler's attempts to harm her failed. The birth of Ismail. Ibrahim was blessed with a son, Ismail, through his second wife, Hagar. Hagar and Ismail were left by Ibrahim in the barren desert of Mecca by the command of Allah. This was a test of faith. Hagar, in desperation, ran between the hills of Safa and Marwa looking for water, until Allah caused the Zamzam well to spring forth, providing water for her and her son. This event is commemorated in the Islamic pilgrimage, Hajj, the sacrifice of Ismail. Perhaps the most significant test in Ibrahim's life came when Allah commanded him in a dream to sacrifice his beloved son, Ismail. Despite the immense emotional pain, Ibrahim obeyed the command of Allah. He and his son, Ismail, prepared for the sacrifice, showing unwavering faith in Allah's will. When Ibrahim was about to carry out the command, Allah intervened and sent a ram to be sacrificed in place of Ismail. This act of obedience to God is commemorated every year during the festival of Eid al-Adha. The story symbolizes total submission to the will of Allah and is a lesson in trust, sacrifice, and devotion. Building the Kaaba, another important event in Ibrahim's life, was the rebuilding of the Kaaba. He and his son, Ismail were commanded by Allah to build the Kaaba, the first house of worship dedicated to the one true God. The Kaaba in Mecca remains the most sacred place in Islam and is the direction, Qibla, towards which Muslims pray. Legacy: Ibrahim is known as Khalilullah, the friend of Allah, due to his unwavering faith and obedience to God. His life is an inspiration to Muslims and people of other faiths for his devotion, patience, and trust in God's plan. In Islam, Ibrahim is also recognized as a forefather of several important prophets, including Prophet Muhammad PBUH through his son Ismail. His story is one of immense spiritual significance and a guide for believers to strive towards unwavering faith and submission to Allah's will. Finally, after a long life filled with trials, triumphs, and unwavering faith, Hazrat Ibrahim passed away at the age of 175. His legacy continued through his sons, particularly through the line of Ismail and Isaac, and his story became a guiding light for generations to come. Thank you for joining us in this journey through the life of Hazrat Ibrahim. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories of faith, history, and inspiration. Allah Hafiz.